Hello and a warm welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is fascinating to see so many people from different parts of the world joining us for this webinar today. I am Sushmita Prem, and today I will be your host and guide for this webinar on Polaris, the self-driving PSA that delivers harmony with smart decisions. I am a Polaris product specialist, and through the next 40 to 45 minutes, my mission is to show you how Polaris can help you uncover the trapped business value that your company holds and how you can make smarter decisions and discover more revenue opportunities using our intelligent project resource management tool. Through this webinar, I am hoping to take you through a journey of discovery, a journey through which all the questions about Polaris that you have come in with will be answered. This will be the agenda we cover. We will quickly set the stage and see an overview of Polaris and the potential the platform holds for your various business needs. We'll also be seeing how Polaris will be transforming your business into a data driven enterprise with special focus on intelligent project resource management. Through a couple of customer examples, you will also see what the return of your investment will be looking like after Polaris is implemented. We'll wrap up the session with a Q&A round so that in case you have any questions that go unanswered during our webinar, I can personally take those up and then answer them for you. A couple of webinar housekeeping notes before we begin. This webinar is being recorded. So once it is over, you will be getting a copy of the session recording in your email. You will be on mute during the presentation, but if you have any questions on the solution, please do make a note of them in the Q&A box you'll find at the bottom of the Zoom window or to the right of your Zoom window, and I will be happy to answer them during the Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. However, if there is something urgent that you feel needs my attention, like the audio or video not being available, feel free to interject and we can resolve that immediately. And without further ado, let's get started. Every project based organization, no matter how organized, will have data silos since they manage core business processes with systems that don't really integrate well with each other. You will have data just sitting there waiting for someone to tap into its potential. What you want is a natural, seamless flow of data. But when there's no data communication happening, the results are project delays, billing inefficiencies, errors, and a lack of visibility. All this leads companies to not have an agile ability to react when issues arise and thrive in today's data driven economy. The world has evolved to new workplace models when compared to any time before 2020. Hybrid work and work from anywhere models are gaining more popularity. This means project organizations need to adapt to this changing business landscape and embrace technology and data along with reinventing their core processes to deliver excellent service. Meet the information generation workforce who are digital natives and tech savvy and represent 60% of the US workforce by 2024, according to IDC. The current generation of workforce between the ages of 25 and 40 are well synced with the cloud ecosystem. The learning curve is practically a straight line, and most would prefer the smartphone as their primary source for updates and collaboration. We have these leaders adopting a digital first approach to make sure that they are staying right at the front of the line, looking for new revolutionary methods of doing business. If you're on the verge of launching your business into the future, these are the 3 C's you need to be focusing on. Have a connected business, make contextual decisions, and have a continuous focus on your projects and people. Each decision you make for your company and people need to be well thought out because you want to always be at the cutting edge of technology, which means every software you're working with needs to be in a position to talk to each other. There needs to be a flow of data happening real time, which allows you to make proactive decisions as and when your business needs it. This is why automating your business processes is the sure shot way of staying ahead of the curve. Here's a problem we've heard over and over again from many of our clients. They knew there are large inefficiencies in how they were operating, but they didn't have the right data at the right time to identify these inefficiencies. And if you can't identify them, how are you ever going to fix them? Not having a single source of truth leads to a variety of problems. Here's a list of issues that our clients often tell us they face. Are any of these challenges that you need to tackle? There are so many inefficiencies inefficiencies that organizations face, you're probably reading this list of challenges and finding some familiar ones that you must be experiencing personally. Worst case scenario, it may not even be one, maybe a couple more, maybe all of them. And that is why we have created Polaris. We are going to tackle these challenges head on. Polaris helps you find those missed opportunities and drive increased utilization, revenue, and profitability. Our early adopters found our platform to be so powerful in delivering profits, which total to almost 12 million very quickly. So, what makes Polaris different? Just like a self driving car, a self driving PSA works by collecting large amounts of real time data so that you can understand what is going on around you. Using the Smart Beats system, Polaris constantly harvests data from users and systems using desktop, mobile, and tools like Slack and Microsoft Teams. This puts all your business data in a common shared data platform that's 100% accurate, always up to date, and is your single source of information. Mission Control is your primary access to that real-time single source of truth. It's tailored to your specific role and it's built on a shared data platform. So there are no data silos, helping you operate in harmony across groups. Having a single source of truth also makes it easier to drive cultural change when everyone from across your organization is working from the same playbook. Be it practice leaders, client leaders, project leaders, they will have the information that they need displayed in a way that makes sense for their role. Mission Control makes it easy to make sense of all this real-time data, and it sifts through it so you only see what is most important to you. It's exception-based and provides proactive alerts so you're aware of anything out of the ordinary that needs your attention. Self-driving also means it makes it easier for you to make tough business decisions. By doing the heavy lifting and analyzing real-time data, Polaris proactively recommends the best possible choices for you to decide from. So how does Polaris work? I hope I've got you fully excited about the Polaris platform as we move on to a sample demo of the software. Polaris is a full-fledged PSA solution that does everything you would expect from a PSA and more, be it analytics, governance, financial modeling. Let's take a closer look at the capabilities and what sets Polaris apart from other solutions. All the features that we saw introduced in this presentation till now, we will be seeing it live in this demo. We will see how Polaris's mission controls work, how the Smart Beat system works to collect real-time data, how Smart Match helps you in intelligent resource planning, and how we derive live insights from all this data collected. We'll also see how Polaris integrates seamlessly with your existing IT infrastructure. So without further ado, let's hop into a live demo of the platform. Polaris as a platform can do a lot of things. And if you notice on the left-hand side of the screen, we are purely permission driven. So you can actually pick and choose who gets to view what information and what features. Now, I am a super admin. That is why I have a multitude of features available here and my reach knows no bounds. Since we are a function-based platform, you can define who among your team should have access to, say, client information or project information, resourcing, budgeting, and so forth. They will be able to view what is most relevant to their work, and this will help in managing the delivery of your projects on time and on budget. You will see during the course of this demo that the Polaris platform houses all your critical organizational data to help provide profits, resource utilization, and bottom line revenue. Now, the first question we often get from our clients is, how will our users interact with your platform? How will the platform collect time information and project information such that further insights can be generated by studying these? Allow me to introduce you to our Smart Beats feature with an example. Right now, we are looking at a sample case of a UI design task of my mobile app dev for trading project. We can see that Laurie Mayer is that person that has been entering a progress on the delivery side as the task owner, and that the project manager had initially planned that this task is going to take about 120 hours and that we are going to conclude by the middle of November. However, we actually went well over that. We concluded at about 2 272 hours, which was about 152 hours over what we had initially planned, and we far exceeded what was initially planned as the completion date and took an additional 14 days. All these details about this task have been generated after analyzing the smart beats information that Laurie was entering. Once we take a look at all these things from a timeline perspective, we can understand that the work remaining over here initially was plateauing, but then went up again on November 9th, which caused our work or our hours remaining metric to increase significantly. And if you take a closer look at the timeline view itself to help understand why that was the case, we can see that there was a change in the scope on November 9th, and as a result, had to redo the design work along with perhaps requesting for additional resources as an example. Now that we are analyzing the data associated with this task, the next logical question becomes, how did these SmartBeats data get entered into the platform? How do your users enter time? And once they do enter time, how will we track it across all these different project data? The ability to enter SmartBeats information is available both on our browser as well as via our mobile app. But since most users would rather work while on the move, this is where I'd like to introduce you to our mobile app for Polaris. Allow me a second while I quickly change my screen so that we can see the mobile app in action. We are available both on Android as well as iOS, so all your users will be able to work on a platform no matter where they are. With your current approach to managing projects and understanding how they're being delivered, the inputs are most often too late and maybe coming in after a week. With no additional content or context around that project status, project managers often need to dig into those various areas of that project to determine how it had derailed and define that root cause. These cost us administrative overheads and burdens and additional delays, which directly affect billing, invoicing, revenues, and even resource utilization for that matter. So one of the many features that Polaris offers to help address some of those problems is by introducing Project SmartBeats. SmartBeats allows us to record snippets of information. It allows users to quickly see what it is they've been assigned to work on. They can go ahead and look at those corresponding tasks and state that perhaps I'm working on a product deployment task. In this particular case, I can go in and indicate what the ongoing work efforts are. You can see metrics here related to the current work hours, how much is remaining, what was the estimate we were looking with when we started work on this task, and what our estimated completion date is. However, we also recognize that there could be scenarios where users indicate that they need to be able to take on additional time to complete what needs to be done. And as a result of doing so, the estimates may get affected. Now, if the work remaining numbers are going down, we can say that the work will be completed early, which is always good news for the project managers, and they can go ahead and decrease the work remaining metrics, at which point the estimated at completion metric will also be going down. They can also indicate if there was any problem as a comment, or on a positive note, let's say everything is looking good. And then I can get an indicator that these things are going smoothly. And if this was a milestone driven engagement, then this will also kickstart the billing process and the invoicing process, so finance can actually log into the system and review some of that information as well. Polaris also routes your time information through an intelligent conditional approval route to the appropriate stakeholders involved. So all the time information you're putting into the system by your users follows a smart approval path that can be single level or multiple levels based on your specified conditions. Now that users have entered their timings in their work, we'll see how that gets turned to live insights within Polaris. Allow me to jump back onto the browser because that is where the rest of our features are available for us. Now, if we hop back here, we are exposed to mission controls for each one of your business leaders to be able to access all this information at their fingertips. The key performance indicators are part of the mission control, in this case for project managers, which shows you how we are doing financially as a whole, considering all the projects you're working with. You can see what the billable revenue looks like, how much are the costs and hours adding up to, as well as the profit that is generated. This can be displayed in a variety of time frames as well. In this example, we are looking at a monthly display. Not just that, if we are to scroll down a little bit, you can also identify what are the projects that are at risk at the moment. In this example, you have 9 projects that look to be going over the estimated hours of the budget, and you also have 3 projects that have unfortunately crossed the end date as well. And if we move on to the tasks feature, you can also understand if there are any tasks associated with these projects that are going over budget in terms of hours or over budget in terms of end dates. So in this fashion, Polaris provides each one of these overviews and mission controls, which help provide those actionable insights directly into a single platform. We will be seeing soon how every project in Polaris can be set up with different governance. So we get to see here that we have about 13 projects still in the initiation stage, one in the planning stage, about 16 in the execution stage, as well as 11 reaching closeout. I can go into each of these stages and see which all projects are in what phases. And if you go into the view of a client manager, you get mission controls exclusively used by them. In this client profitability graph, I can see that we took a hit in both October and November of 2020, for example. I can drill down into the information and understand which are the projects that we actually took a hit on. This way, we can find out what hit our overall profit portfolio. Now, if we hop back into the Polaris projects page, we are looking at a sample project that has been created in our tool. While we are looking at the summary page for the project, I can explain to you all the features we are looking at. Left corner, you can see information regarding the project, like who's in charge, what program does it come under, who is the client, and what kind of billing are we looking at. If we come further down here, we see how we are faring in the project corresponding to the estimated hours and costs we had set at the start of the project and how we are comparing towards the actuals. You can also see information about the billing rate of a couple of resources we had assigned to this project. You also have the option to add other types of rates for the project. Say, for example, this project needs to have a dedicated rate. Depending on the role of the resource working on the project, the billing can be set up that way. This particular project follows a milestone-driven fixed plan, as you can see here. And you also get to see how much historically we have billed to the client till date. Polaris also supports other kinds of billing, such as flat billing, time and materials billing, if it needs to be set up as recurring or non-recurring, and so forth. Once it is clear for you what kind of billing is required for your projects, Polaris can accommodate that on your behalf. There is also no need for you to have different storage locations assigned to have project-related documents saved. All of your extended documentation can be uploaded to Polaris, and you get to view all your project information from one location. And for ease of use, you can even set up tags for these projects so that throughout the platform, if you need to search for this project and its related contents, you can find them easily using these tags. And if you'd like to allow any expense codes for reimbursement for the project, those can also be configured right over here. This will decide what are the approved expenses that users can submit related to this project in hand. You can also choose whether they are to be billed to the client or not to be billed at all. I have saved the best for last. One of the most important information you get about your project from this page are the details regarding the financials of this particular project. Not only are you getting a general overview of what the billable revenue, costs, profits, and hours are looking like at any given point of time, you are presented with an additional feature to see your financials at a glance as well. You get information regarding what your budget is with respect to hours and costs to be invested into this project, realistically how much are the estimates you can work with when it comes to hours and costs, and you also get an idea of the total contract value that you're working with. One additional financial information that you get from this page is how revenue is recognized for this project. We help you manage your revenue recognition based on globally standardized parameters and frameworks like the GAAP principles, ASC 606, IFRS 15. The platform helps you understand and identify what is recognized so far, what is the revenue forecast, and if there is any variance. If you're following a different policy format, that can also be configured, be it as incurred, drawdown, on invoice, or based on the percentage of completion. Polaris takes the pressure off you to make sure you're staying compliant by doing all the heavy lifting itself. All the steps that you need to follow for revenue recognition are taken care of automatically by Polaris. Continuing on this path, project governance is one of the key features that makes sure that you are meeting your budget deadlines. We provide the project managers with all the governance that they're required to be monitoring. We saw a glimpse of this earlier during this demo, and if they like, they can even add additional steps also as required. And with this, what we ensure is that each one of these projects are following a consistent execution format on the delivery side. I can see exactly where we are depending on the stage we are in. In this case, we can see that we have already completed the initiation and planning stages and are currently in the execution stage. Looks like we do have some tasks pending for the stage, and you can monitor those from the governance options available here. As and when you complete a certain governance aspect of your project, you can go ahead and mark it to be complete. You will also notice that these project governance stages do not end at the planning or budgeting phase, but rather goes on till the closeout stage to make sure that your projects are completed in a timely manner and within budget. To continue this conversation, we recognize that you may have a CRM system or potentially other types of platforms that already has client information or projects pipeline information. Polaris offers bi-directional web services, which allows us to be able to easily integrate with those systems to be able to bring that information and understanding about not only things that are in flight, but also projects that are currently being planned. This is going to be important to have a holistic overview across all projects across your organization. And if you take a closer look at the various criteria that we can define, we can actually state that in this case, how we'd like that information to be brought into Polaris. We have out-of-the-box connectors that allows us to be able to indicate things like, perhaps we'd like to be bringing this in based on certain things such as opportunities, stages, or probabilities. Maybe you want the information to be transferred after it reaches a certain proposal stage, or maybe the negotiation stage, or even the close stage. We can set up multiple thresholds for data transfer depending on what your preference is. You can also set it up based on the percentage of probability of the project going through, all up to your discretion. Now, we also recognize that there's also other types of attributes, such as the different clientele information or which account you're working with. That information can also be synced with Polaris from your CRM setup directly using our connectors. These integrations with your CRM systems such as Salesforce helps ensure that not only are we centralizing the in-flight projects, but also other projects that are currently being planned or are in initiation status. You now have your project definition set up, be it by creating it from scratch in the Polaris platform or by importing it from your existing CRM tool. The next logical step is to have resources be assigned to the project and see who is available and cost efficient. Now, as a professional services organization, you know that your resources are the largest expense item you have and the biggest leverage for you to optimize your profitability. Resourcing literally ties into project delivery costs, billing, and revenue. So managing them to maximize utilization and uncover hidden efficiencies will be your biggest priority. If the resources assigned to a project are not in line with the requirements or they do not have the relevant skills required to complete their assigned tasks, this will cause confusion, additional delays, and budget overruns. Lack of visibility into your resources globally or across multiple regions and their skills availability also will hinder your ability to execute these projects as efficiently as possible. Now, this is what our resource management powered by Polaris, the self-driving PSA, helps you with. The platform does all the heavy lifting, analyzing resources for you, making recommendations based on your request, and it can provide a single source of truth for resources, projects, practices, and everything else in between. Now on this mission control, Polaris is actually giving you those KPIs of which are the resources available, allocated, over allocated, who are on time off, which is one of the most important factors as well when it comes to resource allocation, because most of the solutions available in the market do not provide this as a feature. And you'll have additional features like how many resources based on roles are marked off as to be hired. Now, this information can also be broken down day by day, week by week, all the way up to a quarter, not only by the FTE, but also by the number of hours allocated. Scrolling down, you can also see the same resource availability, which can be broken down by role, location, employee type, or even department. All of this can be customized as per your requirement. So as for the graph, if we take a look at the sample data here, we understand that the admin and billing managers have zero availability for the months from July to September. And so if we have anything in plan for them, that can be put into motion only by October when they become available for us. Again, same as the previous graph, this one can also be broken down based on your percentage of data collation, let it be by available hours, FTE equivalent ratios, or the actual hours they can contribute itself. Polaris also gives you the mission control for managing your skill set availability. You can go ahead and assign skills to your users in this graph here. And you also get the information regarding how many specific users have these skills assigned to them. You'll see that there is a tabular form of the same data available here. But if you ask me, life is just better in color. And this kind of a graph is for people like you and me. You get real-time count of users who have certain skill sets available. For example, say you have a new project coming up, which has extensive C++ coding happening. Maybe not the best example, but let's see where this takes us. So you have a project which needs C++ developers, and you see that there are only 4 resources available. This gives you direct information that unless you want to overwork your developers, we need to look into hiring some new employees. This overview we are looking at is very straightforward, very graphical, but if you would rather prefer a timeline format to see resource availability, that is available as well. Each of your individual users' availability can be found on this page, again broken down all the way from day-wise to year-wise. You can see how their allocations are looking like. You can see their primary role. And if they have multiple roles set up, you can display those as well. For example, Richard Anderson here is a developer, but he also happens to hold the dual roles of architect and Java specialist. And to understand our allocation setup, if you take a look at the sample user Paula Barmer, you will see that she is indeed a BCB. She's 100% allocated from the months from July to September. And if you even want to consider her for a project, you have to wait all the way till October. And if you hover over the allocations, you can also get information about where exactly the user's hours have been allocated to. For example, Paula is working on a project called administration. Tammy Benson's working on multiple projects here for your reference. This is all giving you a real-time view into what everyone is up to in your company. Now from this page, you can also get redirected to each of these users' personal profiles as well. And if I click on a sample user here, say Tammy Benson, you get every single detail about Tammy from a resourcing point of view. You get the most basic of details about the user, like what her contract period is, what is her preferred language, her time zone, which organizational department she belongs to, and even her current location. You can also see what her primary role is and also her skill set and her level of proficiency in all of them. And you can also see if she holds any certifications, those can also be displayed here. Looks like Tammy is a PMP certified professional. As a resourcing manager, you can also attach any relevant documents for your users here, like resumes, certificates, job sheets, and so forth. If I click on this link, you can see a sample of an attached document. Looks like this is Tammy's CV, and this can also be saved in the document tab. Now, if we go into the projects page and pick a project as an example here, let's choose something from the list of projects that have exceeded their estimated end dates, because those might benefit from having some additional resources assigned to pick up the slack. Looks like the project we were looking at earlier, the mobile app div for trading project, has already exceeded the estimated end date. Let's use the same one for this example. Now, if we move on to the resourcing tab of this project, this is where we can centrally manage all the resourcing requirements for this particular project. I can create something called as a resource plan, which gives a general idea of what kind of role is required and how many resources per role is required and what their allocated hours need to look like. If I'm to create a sample resourcing request here, I can mention what all specifics I'm looking for as a project manager. Say I need a couple of UX designers at a cost rate of 100 Canadian dollars per hour. Since we are a global organization, we do support different currencies and languages as well. So I can choose a role here. I wanted a UX designer. I can choose the number of resources here. I want 2 resources, and I want them at a cost rate of 100 Canadian dollars. Now you will see also further information tabs available here, asking you during what time you will need these resources. You can mention the date frame for that. And if you mention the requested number of hours, the system will automatically calculate what percentage of these users' times will have to be invested into this particular project. Say, for example, if I put in 200 requested hours, this means that around 54.35% of these resources times will have to be spent on my project alone. You can also see the total cost getting updated automatically to reflect the total number of hours. And if you really like to get all up in this resource request, you can also choose to have specific skill sets mentioned, such that any proposal coming from the resource manager will have to meet these criteria. Let's keep all the design skills here and remove all the other ones, because this is a role for a UX designer. So necessarily we don't need any of the other things. And if you'd like recommendations specifically for any particular department or employee type or location as well, those can also be specified here. Say I want people only from the services department, people who are full-time workers, and people based out of Canada. I can mention those also here. All of this information will make the resource manager's job also easier and will help in faster resource allocation, reducing multiple back and forths that you might have to have otherwise. Once all of this has been set up, I can click on allocate resource, and then my resourcing request gets sent to the resourcing manager for action from their end. Now, how would the resource manager know that you have sent a certain request their way? This is where our notifications come up. You will see a notification having come up here stating that this particular request has been submitted. This is for your information as a project manager. If you go into the settings for these notifications, you can see all the changes you can make for your web notifications, your email notifications, as well as your mobile push notifications. Depending on your preference, whenever any of these actions are performed, you get notified via your preferred channel. Now, when the resource manager sees that such a resource request notification has come up, they can go into the project resourcing option and they get to see all the different allocation requests for each of the projects that is waiting for action from their end. And if I go to the one we were working on earlier, the mobile app dev for trading project, you can see our UX designer request awaiting action here. So as a resource manager now, I get to see exactly what the project manager needs. All the information we sent as a project manager becomes available to them. And now if he wants, he can allocate a resource matching this requirement. And this is where I would like to introduce you to our Smart Match feature. Smart Match is a feature where Polaris will gather all this information and filter it based on a specific Smart Match score. Smart Match scores are a set of complex algorithms that run in the backend of Polaris to take into account each point in your resource request, and the algorithm allocates a certain weightage to each of these requirements. The users who match your requirements the closest thus will have the highest Smart Match score. So if we go ahead and hover our mouse over these scores for these users, you can see how Polaris has filtered your request based on the requirements that were set up. In this example, we can see that Zachary Grant has a Smart Match score of 40 because he fits the role and the department we are looking for, but he doesn't fit the location, the skills, or the employee type that we want. Now, if we come all the way down here and look for somebody else, say Yan Han Pei, we see that his Smart Match score is 20 because he fits the role, but none of the other requirements are met. Ideally, we are always looking for someone whose Smart Match score is 100, because that means they are the picture perfect resource that the project manager is looking for. But practically speaking, if that doesn't work out, we can always find the users who are the closest match to the requirements and propose them for the project. Worst case scenario, if nobody in the company right now fits the project requirement, we can then mark this request as to be hired. Now we can connect with your CRM tools or HR systems. So parallelly, the HR team can initiate proceedings to hire resources while this is happening. Once you have chosen the resources for this project, you can click on propose resources, and a copy of this assignment gets sent to the project manager for approval from their end. Project managers also get notifications when proposals are done, so they can go ahead and check who is the allocated resource. If they fit the profile you were looking for, you can go ahead and accept these resources and they become allocated to your projects. You can even compare how the allocated cost and hours are looking like compared to the estimate that you had set up. So if you see that the cost is going up, you do have the option to reject this proposal and resend the request to get a cheaper resource. For the specific resources as well, If you don't know them personally and want to see their profile, that can also be done directly from the proposal. You can see what their calendar looks like, what are the previous projects they've worked on, and also the skill sets that they hold. All of this due diligence will ensure that we are undergoing all of those cost analysis and scenarios to maximize profitability for each of your projects. Your project managers are getting complete control over what kind of impact these resourcing proposals will have on your project's budgets. Speaking of budgets, let's now see the Polaris Smart Budget feature in action. The smart budget feature is where you can go ahead and indicate what you would like to achieve as a margin percentage for a particular quarter, for example. Smart budget is a great feature of Polaris that helps your organization understand comprehensive cost analysis, taking into account all overhead expenditure. This is something that is often overlooked to help drive profitability, revenue, and resource utilization across clients' practices and programs. This is an editable section, so you can decide what kind of margins you'd like to expect for the upcoming quarters, and the system will drive those numbers and give you the kind of resourcing and time allocation that you need to do to achieve those billables every quarter. Now, if I pick up a sample budget here, we are able to understand a lot of different information. If we come here, we can see what are the business costs that are involved. If you like, you can add certain business costs here in this list. For example, a team dinner for $5,000, and the budget will update automatically to reflect this addition. You are also given information regarding your non-billable resources on this page and how that has an impact on your profitability. You can see what these non-billable roles are and how many hours they're investing into your projects and what the total cost is adding up to. The billable resource cost table gives you real-time information as to how much money these projects are actually going to make you. You get information regarding how many headcount for each role has been assigned, what the direct costs and loaded costs are coming to, and you can also see how many hours are getting invested into the projects per each of these roles. So you can easily understand from here which among your different resource roles is the most utilized. One very interesting feature available within Smart Budget is this nifty sliding tool at the top that gives you real-time information as to how your revenue and profits change based on how the margin goal and utilization goal are changing. So if I'm changing the margin goal here, you can see how correspondingly all my key metrics are also changing to reflect the updated numbers. This means you don't have to spend valuable time calculating these numbers. Polaris is taking that task off you. If you have an existing system that is tracking some of those lead requests, we can also leverage those web services to be able to import that information directly into our system. In this way, we can provide a complete overview on what it is your resources are doing, and we can define those utilization goals and understand our margins better. We can now see how all this data is getting presented to your finance team. If we are to choose this financials tab here, as we saw for the project manager view, we are taken directly to the KPIs for this month. We get to see what the actual financials look like compared to the estimates we were working with. This is common along all these different parameters like billable revenue, recognized revenue, what the cost is looking like, how are we looking at profit wise, and also what your revenue per resource will look like. You also get an exclusive accounts receivable tab here, which lets you identify what invoices have been shared with clients that we are yet to receive payments for. And if you'd like to have an exhaustive view of how your billables are looking like, we can go to the billing and invoicing tab and see what the numbers look like. This page is really good at helping you with billing forecasts. And as you can see, based on the estimated hours we had set up for our different projects, we see how much billables that is going to generate here. You can also see what type of billing plan these estimates have been generated from. You also get information on the number of how much of the billing has already been done and how much is yet to be billed. You also have provisions for adjustments and credit memos, if any. And if any payments have been recorded so far, those also get displayed here in the financial overview page. You might notice that the unbilled numbers here are clickable. This is so that if you or anyone from your finance team would like to actively bill one of your clients for any certain period in time, they can do that directly from here. For example, if I click on the first one here, I can see corresponding to which all projects are we billing this particular client for this time frame. I can create and view my bill here, which also goes into the systems record for future reference. And if we move on to the transactions page, you also get information about all the invoices that have been issued till date. You can also see all the payments that were recorded. And if you need information only on the, say, outstanding payments or overdue bills or even unallocated billing, you can filter those alone as well from here. This is an example. Let's say we can click on one of these bills and you will see an option here to print invoice. You can email invoice and you see that this is unpaid. And once a payment is done for this particular invoice, this becomes counted as a paid invoice. And if you remember earlier, we had discussed and seen a snapshot of how revenue recognition was looking like for one particular project. Here from the financials tab, you can see revenue recognition as a whole for your organization. As I mentioned earlier, we are IFRS 15 compliant, ASC 606 compliant. And if you take a look at the screen, you can see tabs for revenue forecast, recognizable revenue, deferred revenue, recognized revenue, and revenue variance. And if we are to click on these numbers, as always, you get to see where the data is getting drawn to generate these numbers, which projects are giving the information we need for this forecasting. Please also note that when it comes to the Polaris platform, we have open APIs available, which means we can integrate with any third-party tool that you may be using for billing right now and automatically sync directly these invoices into your billing tool if necessary. And also, if you're using any business analytics tools like Microsoft Power BI or Google's BigQuery, we have connectors available out of the box when we can automatically push this information into a digestible format that is accepted by your BI tool. For example, here we have built a connector for Power BI, and you can see all the information available in Polaris readily available for your analytics and business needs. You have options to see your business's profitability based on clients, projects, roles, and so forth. All these charts are also heavy with information. So if you'd like to drill down into the specifics, you can do that as well. You see that all the information you need is available in Polaris itself as a single platform. That brings us to the end of this demo. I hope seeing Polaris's different features like mission controls, smart beats, smart match, and live insights has reaffirmed to you the versatility of our solution. So just to wrap things up today, we are going to do a quick review of who we are at Polaris and take a look at a couple of customers similar to you and how they benefited from our platform. The Polaris platform capabilities set us apart from other solutions. Our robust platform can be configured for your business. Whether you have 10 employees or 1 million employees, Polaris is stretchable to fit your requirement and easily deploy the system no matter how small or large it is. We adapt to your needs versus you adapting to us. A high-performance true cloud platform scales with you and offers 99.9% uptime. It adheres to the highest security standards and privacy controls and provides anytime, anywhere access to your work and business metrics. We leverage advanced technologies to manage business intelligently while supporting plug and play within your ecosystem. If you have mobile deskless workers, you've already seen how comprehensive our mobile app is as well, so that no matter where your employees are, they are able to work for you using Polaris. Doesn't matter if they're from multiple locations, speak multiple languages, and follow multiple currency systems. Polaris makes sure that this beautiful diversity in people is catered to by us. We also have different web services APIs available that lets you integrate all your existing IT systems with Polaris so that there's a natural, complete flow of data between them. And that allows you to seamlessly share real-time information with accounting, ERP, CRM, business intelligence, and other tools that your business uses. These are some of the integrations that Polaris supports. We have business analytics tools like Tableau and Power BI, accounting tools such as QuickBooks and SAP, project management tools like Microsoft Project, and CRM tools like Salesforce and Dynamics 365. These integrations can be made bi-directional such that any data you enter in Polaris can be exported to these platforms, as well as data from these platforms can be fed into Polaris. What this means is once you decide to implement Polaris, you do not start from scratch and start entering data manually. Any existing data that you may have in any other system can be imported into ours, saving you time and getting you started immediately. And we understand that a great product is just the first step. Successful deployment and adoption are key. With our many years of experience, we can ensure a smooth deployment. Over and above the product, we are able to provide a quick implementation to meet your exact needs. A dedicated customer success manager and 24/7 customer support will always be at your disposal, ensuring you have all the help you need when you need it. We also have ongoing training for your employees to enable rapid adoption of all the innovative capabilities that keep coming into our solution. We are, after all, continuously innovating to make sure that you and your business always stay ahead of the curve. Polaris is created by Replicon, which has over 20 years of experience delivering time intelligence. Our team of 500 plus employees support over 7,800 customers in 70 countries across the globe. We have a track record of creating the most innovative solutions, and we invest 42% of our budget on R&D to make our platform robust, modern, and mobile. The world's top services firms rely on Replicon. These are some of our customers globally. Let us look at a couple of specific customer examples as well to see how Polaris changed the way they did business. Here is an example of a financial services firm that was using manual Excel-based processes for managing services. They were faced with scalability challenges, inaccuracies in project scoping, forecasting was limited to 2 months, and the slow time and project accounting affected billing. They deployed our platform and immediately were able to streamline the billing process with our modern interface. Another customer, an IT services firm, had difficulty with accounting and billing because of their field-based workforce. Manual processes caused inaccuracies, and they lacked a single source of truth, which led to cash flow and billing issues. With our solution, they were able to get a holistic and detailed view of their business, enabling proactive decisions based off a single source of information. Imagine being able to increase your profits without adding headcounts or other costs. Polaris has helped services businesses like yours uncover revenue and profit opportunities within their existing operations through reduced revenue leakages, improved utilization, streamlined professional services workflows, and reduced compliance risks with accounting standards. These are some of the typical customer feedback that we receive whenever a new business deploys Polaris. Polaris is capable of so much because it is the world's first self-driving PSA, and it will deliver you harmony with smart decisions, and it is so different than anything else out there on the market. And that brings us to the end of this featured presentation. If what you saw and heard here today has piqued your interest, we would be more than happy to set up a custom demo for you that answers all your questions about how the product can be adapted to your business. And if you have any questions for me, I would be more than happy to clear those now. If you've already left any questions for me in the Q&A box, I'll be checking them now. And if you like, you can send across your questions even as we speak. If we are done with questions, this is Sushmita Prem with Polaris, thanking you for your time and continued interest. Wishing you all my best. Enjoy the rest of your day.